So first of all, I would like to try this again. We are going to have a moment of silence for the people who have given their lives for Israel, whether as soldiers or as hostages. So if you'll join me for a minute of reflection for them, I'd appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Leitner, or Dr. David Leitner. Um, I'm known as Dr. D to those who know me well. And what I'm going to focus on today is the overlap, the interplay between leadership and management rather than one or the other. A lot of people will focus on one or the other. I'd like to try and look at really that intersection, that interplay between the two. So, as we do this, what I'd like you to think about is think of this as almost like a Venn diagram, right? You got management on one side and leadership on the other side. And the place that we're going to sort of focus on is just right down in here. But first, let's focus on each one for a moment. Management produces order, it lets us know what's going on and sets processes into place and things like that. And on the other hand, when you got leadership, right? Leadership really does produce change and movement. It's about getting people to work together towards something into the future. And so when we focus on each of these things, looking at each is going to be different. Someone who focuses on management might look at organization and staffing and planning and budgeting and resources and all kinds of fun stuff like that, or command and control, incentivizations, corrective actions, solution providing solutions. While when we have someone looking at leadership, they might look at giving direction and alignment and big picture and vision, or motivation and inspiration of the team members and things like that, or really aligning people and getting them to work and cooperate with each other. But that's not what I want to focus on, because if I start to deep dive into either of these, we're going to get a little bit lost. What I'd rather do is try and look at how do these overlap and where is the major focus that we can use in order to help someone who's moving into a position of leadership really focus on both. And that's where when we look at this, we can go, wait a second, how do I expand this section? How do I make it as big as humanly possible? How do I really move them like this? And this is something that we can do. We can actually move to the point where these are overlapped. And the way we do that is by focusing on certain key aspects of both. If we look at it for a minute, really management focuses on strategy and objectives and goals and problem solving. It needs to have communication. Shout out to Helen if she's in the audience today. She's a go-to person for something like that. Conflict resolution, decision making. But at the same time, even though leadership produces change and movement, it also has to focus. In fact, it needs to focus on strategy, objectives, goals, problem solving, communication, conflict resolution, and decision making. And if we focus on these two, what we'll find is that there's a balance taking place that allows for that overlap, that Venn diagram, to really expand that overlap area, to really expand and engage followership and leadership in a ideal way. But what does that actually look like? Well, if we want to focus for a minute on the leadership followership matrix or the leadership management matrix, what we're going to find is as follows. At the bottom here, you've got leadership and trust, right? So leadership and trust down over here. And over on the right over there, you've got management performance. Well, if someone comes into a position, they're a newbie, they've just started the job, they've never really done management, or they're new to your company. And in being new to your company, they're, just learning your processes and figuring things out. They're probably going to focus on either one of these, like either management or on leadership, more one than the other. Very often we find that they focus on management more. It just is the nature of things. So they're going to be very performance oriented. And the newbie will move into, I want my people to do well. I want to get good performance reviews. I want things to really, I want to show that we're doing a good job, right? And hopefully what they'll do while they're doing that is they'll focus a little bit on these people and really move themselves into that leadership trust zone a little bit. What we want them to do is we want them to come into this zone over here and really start creating a team and be a person builder. We want them to build the team and each person up. But what happens if they focus over here? Well, if they focus over here, they're going to just start, focusing on management, and they're going to get into what we're going to call exacting management. They're really going to focus on, did we hit the time frames? Are we using our resources well? Are we doing the processes the right way? Is everything going the right way? But they're not leading. And if we let them just focus over here into leadership, right, the people person is going to create wonderful partnerships. They're going to be a partnership architect. But they're not building their people up to be more productive and help them learn the skills they need to be able to engage effectively as ICs. And that's something we want them to learn how to do. So how do we match these two? How do we move them together? And here's where things get interesting. As we move a person through leadership, what they're going to build is they're going to build trust. And we want them to focus on building trust because it will allow them to not only build the people, but it will allow them to slowly move out of management into this sense of, can I drive people? Can I give them a sense of drive? Can I give them a sense of where they need to go? And really help motivate them to do more than they would do otherwise. And if we can get them to do that, even if they're not moving all the way up into drive, because that actually can feel really bad. It can almost feel like the person's, pushing you to the point of burnout. But if you can move a little bit up into that area, what we're getting is we're really creating that sense of drive the way we want it. Okay, we're going to do this together. And it's the together that really matters when you're talking about the team. And when it's individualized, it's very much about that one person. How do I help this person be more motivated and more successful in the skills that they need to do? And what happens is as we move over, two things happen. Number one, if we look at it over here, we've got the trusted advisor, right? That person who demonstrates the skill sets, knows how to be a good leader, and is also good enough in their management that when something comes up, people know they can go to them and say, I have an issue. And know it's not going to come back and bite them in the butt. Ultimately, what we want is for either this person to live in the exceptional expectations or trusted advisor zone, or if we're really lucky, get into that strategic pathfinder zone, where when they are leading, they are creating that ultimate balance between leadership and management and performance. And in order to do that, they really do need to focus on strategy, on objectives, on communication, on decision making. Those are the things they focus on in order to get that and make that happen. But there's something more about this, which is very interesting. What about the follower? So if we think about this from the follower perspective, first of all, they're going to be able to tell us if there's a bad apple. That is to say, someone who's not moving on this, you might know, especially if you're their leader. If you're a senior management and you have a new leader who's just not performing well, nothing's coming out of it, you'll know. But they'll also be able to tell you if they're performing badly here. Right? So if they're a bad apple, you'll know. But what about everyone else? Well, if you're the follower, you actually can use your leader or your manager as a sounding board to understand where are they on this leadership management overlap. And you can use this in order to create a real understanding of what you need and how you want them to treat you. And it'll help you move into strategic partnership with them. So whether you've come in an untrained newbie or you have a new leader who's coming in, right? And if they're focusing on who you are as a performer or they're demanding destructive producer levels from you, that is to say, they are looking at management, you need to talk to them about how you're treated as a leadership function. You need to talk about their leadership, not about their management. You need to focus on what it is that they're asking from you and what it is you need from them to help them move into that realm of strategic partnership where you want to be their strategic partner. If you feel like they're, creating a workhorse situation where you really feel like they're driving you, and it's not enough of, hey, high expectations, you're great, but what about focusing on me and my needs? So here again, you can really use that as a way to know how to help your manager, be better at what they need, what you need from them. And it helps us in a lot of ways. So what I want you to think about for a minute is when we talk about this leadership and management, it's a two-way street. It's not just, leader and the team. The individual contributor has to be able to talk to their team lead. The team lead needs to be able to talk to their manager and explain, well, I've been feeling a lot of management from you. Don't use those terms, but hey, I've been trying to perform really, really well. And I think that I've been doing well in performance. You seem to be focused on that a lot, but I really need you to understand what's going on in terms of interpersonal relationships, things that are going on with me as a person, how I want to grow as an individual, the levels of trust that I feel for my team, with my team, etc. This allows that interplay to take place, and it's a wonderful way for leaders to learn about themselves and managers to learn about themselves. And it's something that you need to do as a follower, and it's something that leaders need to think about for themselves is, well, where am I on this spectrum? Where do I want to be on this spectrum? A little bit like this, a little bit like that. Sometimes you have to be more manager. You don't have a choice. Sometimes you get to be more of a leader. It's a wonderful situation. It's not always going to be one way or the other. So really what I want to think about is, or I want to ask you is this. How are you going to use this? Riddle me this. How are you going to use this information? Where are you on the leadership management matrix? If you had to define it for yourself, more importantly, if I were to ask your followers where you are on that matrix, what would they say? Now think about it the other way. Where is your leader, your manager, on the leadership management matrix? Where would you like them to be? Is there anything you can do to help change that? It's in your hands at the end of the day. You get to decide. So, what are some next steps, you might be asking? Well, first and foremost, check out my website, drdlightner.com. If you go there, you'll be able to learn more about my research, about some of the work I do, stuff like that. You can reach out to me through the forums there. Love to hear from you, get that feedback. You can also, if you'd like, scan the QR code. If you have it, feel free to click on it. It'll give you my information, all my contact information, so you can contact me with questions, comments, thoughts, etc. I would love it if you also took some time to show me some love, give it the like, feel free to ring the bell, share this with other people. And last but not least, I'm going to be doing this hopefully every other week. I'm hoping to get up online and really show people a little bit about what I do and how I work, and my research. So feel free to tune in next time, and thank you very much. If anyone has any questions or thoughts or comments that they'd like to give, now is the time. Otherwise, I've gone over my 10 minutes because we had some technical difficulties. I'm great at technical difficulties. They seem to come up a lot. So any other comments or questions? If not, thank you very much for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. Awesome. See you all next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hope to see you next time.